Hey YouTube, Jeremy here with Gas Holes Garage, and we're not exactly working on the Porsche today, are we there, Pat?
No, we're practicing.
Practice makes perfect, you know. We're putting a Honda engine, so we might as well work on my Honda. Now, so far, I mean, up until today, I did all the work on this thing by myself. So, since Pat hasn't been here, of course, it doesn't run. Well, it does run, but it only goes forward. It doesn't go in reverse. What happened, Pat?
You used a lot of gasket sealer on transmission parts and it plugged some things.
So, a little bit overkill on my part, and we'll see what happens when we get this done the right way and get it all back together. So these are where the two solenoids go on the transmission that activate your gearing. And the transmission I got didn't come with them, so I had to switch them over. Apparently I didn't do the best job on the face of the earth, believe it or not, because I have no reverse. So
There's no gaskets in town.
Yes, we looked all over for gaskets. It's a Sunday, so the local Honda dealership is not open right now. So we're just having to improvise. And what kind of gasket maker is this, or sealer?
Anaerobic.
What?
Anaerobic.
Never heard of it. What is the difference?
It's just made for tight fitting surfaces like this without oozing out everywhere and actually giving you a good seal.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully this does the job, knock on wood, and this car will be back on the road. But considering I'm just a shade tree mechanic and got an engine transmission in out myself, and if this is the only problem we got, I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, not bad.
So
Reverse is overrated.
Well, I could have drove the car and just planned ahead, but once in a while my wife is going to drive this car. I mean, that's why it was wrecked to begin with. She drives it, but if she's going to wreck a car, I want her to wreck the Hooptie Civic, not the other car. So,
You want her to be able to back up and get away?
well, she's got to be able to back up and when she drives it, because no matter what, even if I tell her not to back up, what's she going to do? She'll pull in face first and then be stuck. So
You could save a bunch of money on your auto insurance by running away.
So here's the solenoids themselves. Here's the little one and the big one. So
We checked them out. They're both working, but according to the computer, they're not.
So yeah, we were supposed to be working on the Importer today, but unfortunately all my junk's not working right now.
Jeremy's out of cars.
Yeah, I'm out of cars. My wife needs something to drive this week. She had wrecked this one, and I've been working on it and getting it back on the road. And while this one was wrecked, something happened to her Mercedes. So that'll be the next car we're working on right after this, or while this one's setting up or whatever. Hopefully working. Fingers crossed. And then after that, if we got time, we're going to see if we can get the taillights working on Harvey. So he'll be ready to rock pretty soon. One piece of shit at a time. All right, so we got the Honda buttoned up. We don't know yet whether or not it works, do we, Pat?
Not at this point. We're letting it dry. We're letting the sealer dry.
So it's going to take a few minutes to give that a chance to do its thing. So because of that, my wife's baby's in here. It's 2001 Mercedes-Benz SLK 230. She was driving it the other day, and all of a sudden it wouldn't come out of park when she went someplace. So I went and rescued her, got in the car. It went right into reverse for me. And I was like, really? I went all the way out there for nothing? And she gets back in it, and she has a problem again. She's like, see, it's not working. So yeah, it wasn't working. So we start driving home. She's following me, and she calls me up and she says, the car is going 50, 60, then 50, and we're only doing 50 miles an hour. And said it's all over the board at 50, 60, 70. Well, it's about the red line. I'm like, there's no red line on your speedometer. What are you talking about? You're talking about the tach? And she's all, I guess, I don't know. And then I look back and I see the car starting to smoke a little bit. I'm like, what the hell? Pull over. So we pull over, and the car's acting funny. So she drives the Hummer home, which she's scared to drive the Hummer because it's so big. I'm scared for her to drive the Hummer because it's so big, and, well, I don't want my Hummer to be wrecked. You know, Pat doesn't want my Hummer to be wrecked because he's tired of working on my piece of shit. And the bottom line is that she drove it home, and I was like, I'll wait for a tow truck, but I was like, well, let's see if it'll drive. And I ended up driving it down the freeway all the way to my house about 10 miles an hour. So it took a little while, but it made it here, and it wasn't overheating. You know, temperature gauge stayed fine. So now Pat's just pulling the codes up on it, and did you find something?
Yeah.
Not good?
No.
Great. What does it say?
Need transmission range selector, so the shifter in the center console.
Yeah.
Need that.
The shifter in the center console.
Yeah. The range selector, the gear shift. There's a module in there that,
Ain't no good?
is no good.
All right. Well, that sounds like fun, doesn't it?
It sounds expensive because that little thing on the hood.
What little thing on the hood? That little thing?
This little thing.
This is just a Dodge. What are you talking about? It says so in the door seal.
Not today, it's not. Not when you gotta buy the parts.
We'll get back to you.
All right, well, we found a P0705. On this car, it's the shifter module, and yeah.
Down in there.
And there's nothing saying that it wouldn't be that, so it has all the symptoms, and looks like Jeremy's gonna be out a couple $100.
Well, it's something it's just what the module that allows it to go into gear.
Yeah, it's a little more complicated than that, but yeah.
So being a Mercedes, you know, it ain't cheap. Being a Mercedes that's over 20 years old,
It's probably not made anymore.
so we'll have to see. I mean, it's the whole shifter assembly that they usually seems like they end up changing out. So
Yeah, there is a module, but I don't think they make it anymore, so everybody's going to eBay and buying a used shifter, so yeah, there's that.
fingers crossed. Well, I might just be heading to the junkyard and see if I can grab one there. So, but
That
sounds
should
like
be fun.
sounds like a road trip. Luckily, when I go to the junkyard, I don't have to care about ripping it apart. So I just
Bring a sawzall.
I just cut through everything. So that's the easy
Run it
part.
for the next guy.
But yeah, that's what's going on with my wife's little Mercedes. This is her little hot rod. She loves this thing. So now on to the next project.
Yay.
Yay, he's so happy to work on my shit. All right, now to the bottom line as to why my car, or my wife's car, I should say, was not shifting, was not having problems, was not running, was not getting out of park. It was all due to the shifter itself. The mechanism. I guess it's very common on these cars that due to where the drink holder is, drinks spill down right into it, screws up the internals of it. You all heard of the Eagle song. I've been to Phoenix, Arizona, all the way to Tacoma, Philadelphia, Atlanta, LA. That was my day yesterday going to pick up parts. I live in Murrieta, California. I ended up in Riverside, went to Rialto, over to Monrovia, down to Santa Fe Springs, out to Westminster, and then ended up in Chula Vista. All of which had cars like my wife's little Mercedes here, but every single one of them, the piece was actually missing. So it's a very common problem on this. The only one that actually had one sitting in there was Monrovia, but someone trying to get to some other part broke it apart, and my freaking heart crashed when I saw that. So I didn't actually find the part itself, the exact one I need. So by the time I ended up in Chula Vista after driving all day long, I figured, well, let's just see what else is out there. So I found a CLK Mercedes that just came in. It wasn't even on the web page yet. And it has a similar, very similar gear selector. It's actually just a tiny bit shorter is the only difference that I've seen so far. It does bolt right in. It does plug right in. And it seems to work just fine. You know, I am going to find the right one so that it looks flush with everything in the future. But for now, my wife's car is running. She's happy. You know, a little bit of cosmetic work, you know, as far as that goes. But in the future, her car will be perfect. So anyone out there getting a Mercedes, you know, this is a problem. So then in conclusion on my Civic in the background, it does drive forward just fine, but then it started having problems even doing that. Does not go in reverse. Put scanners on it, did everything. It there's just something wrong with the transmission. The one that I got is actually worse than the one I had, I think. Well, not completely, because the one I had leaked all its fluid all over the damn place. So, even though I just did a transmission swap on this thing, I'm going to be doing it again. What are you going to do? Is what it is. I love that little car. I'm going to rebuild it as long as I can because it's cheap, it's easy to work on, and as long as you get good parts, you're golden.
All right, everybody. So, yeah, not a very productive day, but we did find some stuff out. The Honda, yeah, we diagnosed everything we could. We went through it, tried to do everything we could, and unfortunately, it looks like the new used transmission is used and for sale because it had no reverse.
Yeah, that might have been the problem with the transmission to begin with, is the way it's looking. We went through everything we could have gone through, and we followed even every bit of YouTube advice that we could find.
Yeah. YouTube University.
You know? But there was nothing that worked on this car. For some reason, I mean, it drives down the freeway. I just had it up to 78 miles an hour down the freeway, no problems. And that was all good, but reverse?
Everything checks out except it won't back up.
Reverse is just like another neutral. There's nothing there. So, and then as far as the Mercedes, you know, it's got some other issue. It's showing, the shift selector and the transmission.
Shifter module.
But the weird thing about that is he cleared the codes. It went right back to the problem. It didn't even change the difference. And they said that if you clear the codes, it would work fine one time.
Well, they said it would shift out of park into reverse. And it did. It was violent, but it did.
Yeah, it's pretty violent. So I'm not sure the shifter is the problem, but
yeah. So we need to get the shifter module replaced and then go from there and see if that fixes it. And might be two problems.
So I have a trip to pick apart in my future.
For more used parts.
Yeah, I'm going to take out one used part and put another used part. Unfortunately, hopefully this is the one that works. I don't know. The parts no longer exist. I mean, we looked it up. All you can find on eBay and wherever else is just used crap. And everyone thinks they want the moon for it, you know, so it's expensive as hell.
Yeah, if it was a year older, it'd be cheap.
But anyway, it's a pain in the butt, but this is what we're going through right now. So anyway, please hit that subscribe button. Please give money to St. Jude. Like, tag, share, follow. Hit that bell button, and have a good day.
Thanks for watching.